Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Before It Was Cool podcast. I'm your host, Tom Roberts, with a special co-host, Jay Later. Introduce yourself to everyone, Jay.
Well, hey, everyone, if there's anyone actually listening. My name's Jay Later. I'm an amateur stand-up comic living in Orange, so like the absolute central hub of pretty much fucking nothing. And yeah, I've known Tom for be going on like almost 20 years now, wouldn't it? No, it wouldn't be that long.
No,
Probably about 15.
About I've
15.
known you since I was like 12, but yeah, since I was about 17.
Well, I'm sorry that you're aging quicker than me. That's not my fault.
You're older than
so
me,
probably
motherfucker.
Yeah, but who's the one in the wheelchair, honestly?
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Okay, as everyone knows, we've known each other a while, so I will insult Tom left, right, and center, but it is all done with love.
Yeah, and I don't take it to heart very much. I cry myself to sleep, but that's another issue altogether.
Well, just as an example of how long our relationship's going, I think it was actually my first comedy gig. Tom was the stage manager for it. Yeah. And I actually wrote a joke as I was walking on stage about Tom, just saying, oh, Tom, the stage manager, he's one of my best mates. He's really, really funny too. He's even funnier when you push him down the stairs. It's great because everyone in the audience is like, oh, is that funny? They look over at Tom, see he's pissing himself laughing, and they're like, oh, shit, it's okay. He can make that joke. The person he's making fun of is laughing. It's okay.
Excellent. Okay, so I've created a brand new intro for this show. Those who listened to my last podcast, the Full Metal Lockdown podcast, would recognize my style. Anybody that's ever listened to my music, which I think is absolutely shit, would recognize my style. But here's the new intro. Welcome.
Welcome to the Before It Was Cool podcast.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. I hope you really enjoyed that intro because I didn't.
I didn't enjoy it either, mostly because it didn't come through on the interview, so I couldn't actually hear it. So I can't say whether it was good or bad. I'll just say it was definitely an intro.
Oh, excellent. But I'm a self-hating artist, so I hate everything I do, like completely.
Even your kids? You made them.
Yeah, but they're not art. They're just smarter than me.
True. Can walk better too.
Alrighty. The first thing we're going to talk about, I should run people through the structure of this show. It's a co-host show, which means that Jay is going to be available through the whole show, not just an interview segment. So I've got someone to bounce off of, which is one of the drags of doing a solo podcast, that you don't have anyone to bounce off of. Now,
that's one thing that I find, like, listening to one person talking and only getting one opinion, it is always so boring. And like having someone to bounce off is really good, especially someone who's a little bit random. It'd be the nice way to describe me. And so we are going to go on tangents. I am going to get distracted. Tom will probably just come along for the ride thinking, holy shit, why'd I get him on for the very first one of the Before It Was Cool podcast? But enjoy the ride.
Yeah. I should point out that this is the second interview I've done, and it will be the second episode.
Oh, fine then.
Yeah, I'm sorry you don't get that golden spot. Someone nabbed it before you.
Nah, it's all good. I don't have any star power behind me, and I'm sure the other person was a bit more famous than me.
Alrighty, so the first segment that we're going to discuss is a very broad segment, and it's argued by a lot of either fanboys or nerds or fangirls. The first segment is Marvel. The first thing we're going to discuss is who's the best person that ever played or plays currently Spider-Man.
Okay, so like I know this is argued a lot, and I will actually say I'll say Tom Holland in an instant. No doubt from me. And before Marvel was really hitting the movies, I was still reading comics. I was looking at the characters and stuff. And I believe that, well, actually, I'll let you talk now and say your one before I just keep going and running on.
No, you can talk for as long as you want, but I wholeheartedly agree with you. I believe Tobey Maguire was too old and he played it too awkwardly, although he did play it better than Andrew Garfield.
Yeah,
Andrew Garfield was okay, but to me, it was never a good fit for the Spider-Man role.
Andrew Garfield was too cool.
Yeah.
The whole thing of, because you got to break down Spider-Man into two characters, Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And he was too cool to be Peter Parker.
Yeah.
It just wasn't that right fit. And he and Tobey Maguire both suffered from the same thing of being a bit too old for the role, I thought.
Yeah. Tobey Maguire looked like a 40-year-old going to high school.
Oh, it's definitely a possibility, but hey, they've done it left, right, and center in movies. I mean, look at the woman who played Rizzo in Grease. She was in her 30s when she was playing a 17 to 18-year-old.
Exactly.
And it's it kind of takes the whole mystique of Grease away when you're watching it, and it's like, oh. But yeah, I'll say Tom Holland, he plays that brilliant, insecure Peter Parker who's trying to balance the thing of, I want to be a superhero, I need to stay hidden. Is this too much? Is it not enough? That uncertainty that he performs is fantastic as the Spider-Man. He's a great smartass. His smartassery as the character is fantastic.
And even further than that, his naivete of a teenager.
Oh yeah, have you guys seen that really old movie? I think it's called The Empire Strikes Back. And
there was this really old movie. It's called Alien.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And but it's funny because he then talks about the really old movie, but then in Homecoming, he's excited to build the Death Star, and it's he plays that beautiful, as you said, that beautiful naivety of dancing between a teen who just wants to live a teenage life, the superhero who has the great power, has great responsibility, and then that in between where it's I should be using this for my own personal gain, him trying to impress people at a party and whatnot, but then him okay, I don't want to put people in danger. I need to keep this hidden, wanting to reveal it to the girl that he likes, and just that happy balance between superhero and horny teenage male that he has to try and balance perfectly. And he does that well. And I think Tobey Maguire did a lot of that okay. He just wasn't the best at being the teenager character. When in the second Spider-Man movie, when Tobey Maguire is trying to balance work, superheroism, study, the whole lot, I thought that acting was great and Tobey Maguire did it well. It just didn't suit him and his look, I guess would be the way to put it.
Yeah. The way I put it is Tobey Maguire acted Spider-Man very well. Tom Holland was Spider-Man, was Peter Parker.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Also, I have a huge issue with the first three Spider-Man movies is that every enemy, except for Venom, who was just butchered anyway, had this little redemption arc at the end.
And also, in the Sam Raimi trilogy, Tobey Maguire, I know there are editions of the comic book that do this, but the majority of the comic books have Spider-Man shooting his web out of a electronically made device, not a gland in his wrist.
Well, see, that's not a huge issue. I don't mind deviation from the comics because if you're just going to retell the comic, it's still going to piss off people because there's the imagination of the individual involved. Yeah. I don't mind some deviation. I don't mind the fact that Wolverine was 6'4" when Hugh Jackman was playing him, when in the comics he was 5'4". Yeah. I don't mind a lot of that stuff. And the deviation there, Drax not being actually a human, because in the Guardians of the Galaxy comics, Drax was a human who got superpowered to try and kill Thanos. And all that sort of stuff. I don't mind deviation from the comics. I don't even mind deviation in the comics. The fact that in X-Men over the last few years, they've done where they brought the very first class of X-Men to talk to their future selves sort of thing. And you find out Bobby, a.k.a. Iceman, is actually gay. And I don't have an issue with all that. In the end, you need to make new stories. You need to keep building. If you want to keep doing the same old thing, just read the same thing. It's if you go up to someone and tell them about, say, The Stranger, where you sit on your hand until it's numb before you have a wank, they're the kind of people who just jerk off in the mirror every day because that's what they do when they don't want to try anything exciting.
Fair enough. And also, credit to Anthony and Joe Russo, who were the ones that decided to put Tom Holland in the role. They saw him read for the role, and they thought, well, like, for the first time ever, we're going to put a teenager in the role of the teenager.
Yeah, and you saw that in his place. Like, I don't know if Tom Holland's a comic nerd or anything, that he had that sense of wonderment being there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like someone who really digs who grew up or really enjoys the subject matter, and he's in there, and it's like, especially in the Civil War fight, he seemed like a wide-eyed teen, like, oh my goodness, there's Captain America, oh my God, and just getting that excitement. And he portrayed that really well, and it just came across so natural. I would not be surprised if he was actually that wide-eyed teen.
There was an interview with the Russo brothers later on after Endgame, and they were talking about him walking around the Civil War set just afraid to go near Robert Downey Jr., afraid to go near Chris Evans, because he was like, but they're superheroes. And I'm like, dude, so are you now. And he's like, yeah, but they are superheroes.
Well, yeah, like Tom Holland had a pretty decent acting career before this, but this is what's really brought him into the limelight. Whereas the other two were a bit more established as well, which will do that. It's like, I've had comedy gigs where I've been lucky enough to perform with some very established comedians, and I've just been like wide-eyed, just like, oh my goodness, I'm turning into a fanboy. I'm going to giggle a little bit if they talk to me. And I'm sure you've been the same when you've been discussing music and stuff like that with established musicians, or when you met the Chili Peppers.
Pretty much. Although I kind of realized the more I progressed in my career, the more, if I don't talk to these people, nothing's ever going to happen.
Yeah,
so,
you do need to make that first step.
And also to all the detractors of Tom Holland out there, they're going to learn to shut their mouths when Tom Holland finally gets to share the screen with Ryan Reynolds, and Deadpool and Spider-Man get to bounce off each other.
That will be an absolutely if they do it, I haven't heard any confirmation, but would happily jump on it the moment there is.
Deadpool
the other thing
3 has been confirmed, and it is joining the MCU.
Oh, God, my erection's so big right now.
And it's getting an R rating because it's being released through the Fox subsidiary.
Well, even then, they can do it through Disney now, because they've got that whole Star sort of thing. Well,
Disney owns Fox.
No, yeah, true. It's more a question of what won't they own by the end of the next 10 years. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Disney becomes the next, like, one of the next presidents of the United States, to be honest.
Yeah, it wouldn't not surprise me.
But we were about to say something. Like, the other thing I'd love to see with Tom Holland as Spider-Man is when, like, emphasis on the if they do a little bit of, not so much retconning, but prequeling with the whole Venom symbiote, and somehow we get to see Spider-Man with the Venom symbiote and see the anger shift.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him become a lot angrier as a character rather than emo dancy pants.
God, that was crap. Yeah, they've kind of, there is no confirmation, but they've alluded to the fact, because we should point out to listeners, Disney does not own the Spider-Man character. They are leasing him, for lack of a better term, from Sony. Sony owns the Spider-Man character. That's why they're releasing the Venom series. That's why they've got the Black and Silver movies in the works. That's why they've got a bunch of other things in the works.
Morbius is a part of that, or is Morbius still owned?
Yeah, Morbius is a part of that. And the jury's still out. I think Jared Leto kind of put a damper on his comic book outings with his turn as the Joker.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can say that, but then you can look at, okay, let's look at Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern. Let's look at Chris
Ryan
Evans.
Reynolds in R.I.P.D.
I enjoyed R.I.P.D. I thought it was just good, dumb fun. But R.I.P.D. isn't like a mainstream one.
But it was still a comic book character.
Oh, yeah, but it's still, as I said, like not mainstream enough to really dampen that. Like most people saw R.I.P.D. with no knowledge that it was a comic book movie, whereas Jared Leto is the Joker. Everyone knows the Joker's a comic book character.
Yeah.
And like Ryan Reynolds, as I was saying, is Green Lantern. That movie, like Ryan Reynolds was great in it. The movie itself was shite. And then there's others like Chris Evans as the Human Torch.
Yeah, but to be fair, the first Fantastic Four was actually pretty okay.
I think it had okay casting. I think it was meh. The rest of it was okay, very average at best.
That's what I mean by pretty okay.
But yeah, like I'm not going to put someone's past into question. And like even Jared Leto as the Joker, he played a different version of the Joker. He did suffer a lot because he was going to be constantly compared to Heath Ledger. Rest in peace. Amazing performance. Phoenix. And Joaquin Phoenix was afterwards, who then did a bit more of a prequel Joker and a development of the Joker. This Joker didn't have enough screen time to properly get character. Plus, the character itself was also so heavily outshined between Harley Quinn and what's his name, Captain Boomerang, and to a lesser degree, Deadshot. Yeah, but yeah, Suicide Squad. The first one was awful. Like there was moments it was good, but it was just like.
But that being said, I cannot wait for the Suicide Squad, which is the name of. And it's not a sequel either. It's been confirmed that it's not a sequel. It's just a reboot.
It's still got Harley Quinn in it.
Yeah, it's a reboot, but it's not a sequel with the same a lot of the same actors. But I cannot wait to see John Cena's character, who's already confirmed for his own spin-off show.
But the funny thing
Warner
is,
Brothers love it.
The thing that I'm laughing at right now, laughing on the inside, I don't usually laugh at anything you say, is that you said you can't wait to see John Cena. You can't see him.
Oh, my God.
Sorry.
And it's going to be awesome because it was confirmed and made in that weird period after Disney fired James Gunn and before they rehired him. He pretty much went, fuck you, I'm going over to your competition. I'm making them better. And then that's
to be honest,
Disney,
it's not hard to improve like the DC movie universe. Like, I mean, of the most recent stuff, the only really good one is, from what I've seen, has been Wonder Woman. Though I've heard positive things about the Snyder Cut. I haven't seen it yet.
It's very long. It's almost 4 hours. Or it might even be over 4 hours.
Fuck, so it's like Lord of the Rings director's cut level.
Yeah, and it's all done in 4.3 ratio. 16.9 or whatever it is not there. It's interesting. It was good. It was very, very long. And the they expanded, that nightmare sequence that I think it's in Batman vs. Superman, where Batman is in the desert world. They expand on that towards the end, and they reintroduce Jared Leto as Joker.
Yeah, I saw that in some of the things where they reintroduce him. And I don't know, I think there's some potential for the Jared Leto Joker. It's just he's had to fill some big shoes. Someone else since has filled those shoes well to the degree that he will be a side note. I think there was some potential there, and it wasn't hit.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, at the start of this segment, you said that we'll go off on tangents. This segment is supposed to be about Marvel, and we're talking about DC.
Hey, we could have gone the full thing and gone like Dark Horse or something like that. So
yeah,
we're still halfway there. At least we're still on a comic book company and their movies.
I was actually just thinking about Redemption. If you look at Josh Brolin, his foray into the comic book world was Jonah Hex. And
Jonah Hex, and now he's also Thanos, and he's also Cable.
Yeah, exactly. He's got two major roles in major franchises, although he's dead in one of them. Yeah,
well, one thing I'd actually love to see with the whole Marvel universe. So Josh Brolin, he played two in separate things, but they're probably going to get slowly pushed back together. I'd love to see him almost take on the Stan Lee role, and he gets a cameo where he plays another character in a heap of different movies coming forward.
Yeah, I reckon that role, because the rumor was that he was going to be a Watcher, because you got to see him in...
We're talking Stan Lee or...
Yeah, Stan Lee.
Yeah, Stan Lee, yeah.
We got to see him in Guardians 2, and he was talking to the Watchers, and he was giving a rundown of every Marvel film that he ever cameoed in, which is every single one, until the point that he died. And the rumor is, because he's now been in 4 Marvel movies, is Matt Damon.
Yeah, that could work as well.
He's on the set for Thor 4 or whatever.
4. Oh no, sorry, I had a different thing. And then he's also in he was in Deadpool 2 as one of the hillbillies that are talking about wet wipes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's him and who was the other guy? What's his name?
I can never remember his name, but he's from Firefly.
Yeah, he's from no, I thought I had his name, but I don't. He's also in like A Knight's Tale. He's a great actor, very underrated. Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff, and I wouldn't mind seeing him get pushed a little bit more as an actor, because he is really good. He's even in the Transformers series, the Michael Bay verse, where he's the protector of what's his name? The guy that's also in Mr. Deeds that likes feet. The secret agent, he's his protector sort of thing, and he's great in all of those roles.
Exactly, he's very underutilized. Just for clarity's sake, for momentum's sake, we should probably move on. Who will lead the next Avengers? Who will the next Avengers level villain be in the MCU?
Okay, so I've got three main trains of thought for this, and it is really dependent on the Fox-Disney relationship. You were saying before how Disney is loaning the Spider-Man character.
Yeah.
Is that the same for the X-Men characters?
No.
No? Okay.
They own them.
They own them. Okay, because that's going to change a few things in what I'm thinking. So looking back through comics and stuff like that, looking at the next Avengers level villain in the MCU, so the big, like, everyone come together to fight this sort of thing.
Like the next Thanos level villain.
Yeah, next Thanos level, Loki level, or Ultron level.
Well, kind of, because if you look at it, in all four of the Avengers films, the overarching villain was Thanos. He was
Thanos pulling the strings,
Loki.
Yeah. So the ones I'm thinking of, I think the next Avengers level villain, I actually wouldn't mind seeing Scarlet Witch go into that role.
Oh.
So I've watched WandaVision, I love it, and in the comic universe, she ends up like completely altering reality, and I could imagine her doing that, and not so much as a villain as in like I thought WandaVision was great because it showed her grief and her anguish after Vision's death and the process of that, and then like at the end of that she then has to say goodbye to him again, as well as her two children. I'd love to see her go mentally just purely off the rails and just changing the whole world, and it's the Marvel universe trying to get her back, but her effectively being the villain character, like, I've had this much pain put on me, I'm going to inflict it on others, and then having the moral lesson at the end is like, just because you were hurt doesn't mean you should hurt others, and her learning from that and trying to make the world a better place. Because other than Loki, none of the real bad guys have had that huge redemption arc. And I don't mind a redemption arc when it's not used all the damn time.
Yeah.
But I think with a big villain and having that happen, it could be interesting. The other Avengers level villains, and I'm sorry that I'm dominating this, but you said that I could. You don't give me an opportunity to talk and just let it all out. It just goes for ages. The other ones I was thinking is Onslaught.
Yeah.
For those who don't know who Onslaught is, in the comics, once again, I'm sorry I keep going back to that.
No, this is what it's all based on.
Yeah, it's the source material. Onslaught was the psychological combination between a very angry Magneto and a very angry Charles Xavier. Magneto had ripped all the adamantium out of Wolverine's body. So I'm pretty sure I'm right with this. I could be getting it mixed up with a couple of things, so I do apologize if I'm wrong. And Charles Xavier, out of a sheer moment of anger, just pretty much wiped Magneto's mind. So Magneto's angry side comes out psychologically, spiritually, karmically, whatever you want to explain it. It's comic books. And Charles Xavier's angry side, his angry energy, I guess, they combined to make Onslaught. Onslaught was a massively powered supervillain. Like, he actually separated the Hulk from Eric Banner, and not Eric Banner, that's the actor originally. Bruce
I get
Banner.
them confused all the time.
I don't get it confused. It's just habitual. It's like Banner, Eric. Okay, yeah, I'm an Australian. That's the one I know better.
Plus, he played the Hulk
as well. Yeah, but yeah, separates Bruce Banner and the Hulk at one stage, which could be a really good setup with the whole Intelligent Hulk storyline we're going with at the moment.
Yeah, the Professor Hulk.
Yeah. It also And like it's a good way to have that combination of X-Men and Avengers fighting. Like this guy, like this is an example of his power for those who don't know. The Juggernaut charged at him, he punched him and knocked him into another country.
Yeah.
Or across the United States. Like it was a ridiculous amount of power. Creates a good, huge villain. It creates the good guys who created him, similar to Ultron trying to take him down. It's a good way to combine everything because it includes the Marvel Universe, but then not the Marvel Universe, of course it includes that. The X-Men Universe, because it's, okay, this is a bad guy we created, but then the Avengers are like, oh shit, this is a big scary dude. We got to deal with this big scary dude. And then we can also have, because Juggernaut will then have a personal vendetta, we can throw in some Deadpool Juggernaut back and forth like we had in Deadpool 2, which was great. Ryan Reynolds dual rolling. Anything with more Ryan Reynolds in it is always good, in my opinion.
If people don't know what Jay was talking about, then Ryan Reynolds did the voice for Juggernaut.
Yeah, because if I'm correct, they didn't actually have the budget to get another actor, so he just fanboyed up and just went for it.
Yeah, plus Juggernaut outside of Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds' favorite character.
Yeah, that's why the Deadpool character went full fanboy.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, in the comics, Deadpool is a fanboy of Juggernaut as well.
He's a fanboy of most things, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
the original reason he decided to Deadpool became a superhero was because he was a fanboy of Captain America.
Yeah, that's another thing. Deadpool is the only character, or the only character that I know of, that is fully meta, and he can see the outside world. He realizes that he is fiction, and he knows everything about the fictional world.
Oh, yeah, like there's a whole series of comics called Deadpool Kills Deadpool. No, Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, where he pretty much goes around killing all these heroes and then eventually kills the writers, which it's a great read. It is a lot of fun. But another character who actually knows about the comic universe, I believe, if I remember correctly, it could be, but that's She-Hulk as well.
See, I don't know much about She-Hulk, so
yeah,
I'll have to learn more about her.
That's one thing I'll say is beautiful about the MCU is the fact that they're putting some light on these lesser-known characters.
Yeah, like She-Hulk's about to get her own series.
Yeah, and Bruce Banner's Professor Hulk is going to be there too.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is the biggest misstep of the entire MCU, that Bruce Banner didn't get his own solo movie to create Professor Hulk. Because how cool would that have been?
It's not like they don't have the opportunity to do that, though. I mean, they've got that right amount of blank space where they can do prequel a la Black Widow.
See, the problem is that he's just like Spider-Man. The Hulk is essentially leased from Universal. But because they've already done a solo movie, that one with what's his name?
Which one, Eric Bana or Edward Norton?
No, Edward Norton, that's his name. The one with him. But they're only allowed to do, I think it's one more solo movie, then they have to give him back. So, and the ensemble movies, which are the only ones he appears in, like Thor or all the Avengers movies, they don't count to his contract. So they are keeping him on as long as they need him.
They're dancing around the topic per se.
They're just trying to do what they can not to give him back because they realize how popular the Hulk is.
Kids love him because he's just such a simplistic character. He's got that very basic superpower set that is so fantastic. He's a simple hero. He doesn't have death. He's just a rage monster who's actually powered by Satan, if you actually look into the further comic stuff, which is actually pretty interesting. Yeah. But I digress. Yeah, he's just such a simple character who's just pure entertainment. I think a lot of kids love him because he has got that mindset of an angry, tantruming child. Yeah,
exactly. Hulk smash.
Not to insult the Hulk. If Hulk has issue with this, it's not an insult, it's just how it comes across. Please don't hurt me. Yes, I'm actually bargaining with a fictional character not to hurt me. I'm very concerned about this.
In fairness, though, there is a living, breathing Hulk, and his name is Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, but Brock Lesnar doesn't give a shit about anything. Like, you can insult him, and he's just like, I'll be here with my money, my wife on my farm, throwing tractors around.
Yeah, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to find out where his button is, if you know what I mean, to piss him off.
Oh, yeah. course not. He's a UFC champion. He's a biological freak of nature when it comes to all the stuff that has come his way biologically. Ex-UFC champion. I'm not going to try and piss him off. No way. I'm a smart-ass prick, but I'm like, no, I've got my limits of pissing people off, and Brock is amongst it.
So you've mentioned 2. Who's your third?
There's actually 4, I've realized. Another one, and this is another one combining the X-Men into it, is going the Phoenix Force.
Yeah?
So for those who don't know, there's a Cable starts teleporting through time, getting chased by Bishop. So those who don't know who Bishop is, he's the guy who is in Days of Future Past when Wolverine gets sent back into the past. Dark-skinned guy with some dreadlocks and stuff. So after Scarlet Witch wipes out everything, one of the things she says is no more mutants, and the world goes down to, I think it's only 50 mutants in the entire world. A heap of mutants get depowered, all that sort of thing. And during that time, there's one child that's born as a mutant, and that is Hope Summers. But yeah, she's going to be the vessel for the Phoenix at one stage. Cable's trying to protect her and just keep and go through time. Bishop's chasing after her, and it creates the X-Men versus Avengers storyline in the comics. However, the Phoenix Force ends up not going to her and ends up possessing 5 members of the X-Men being... Okay, so there's been some video games and there's the comics, so I might get this wrong. Cyclops gets it. Colossus... I think Jean Grey's a part of it, but I'm not sure. Because it's comics, she dies and comes back every single time. Does Magneto get it? I can't remember off the top of my head, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm not just going to keep doing guesswork. But, and it creates this new sort of thing. So it begins as X-Men versus Avengers, and then majority of the X-Men join up with the Avengers to fight the Phoenix Force. So it could create a good 2-movie sort of deal of development, and then into that, similar to Endgame and Infinity War.
Yeah.
The other big bad guy, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see it just because I'm a big fan of a lot of the characters involved, is Null, the symbiote god, also known as the King in Black.
Yeah, it could technically happen. It depends on the Sony-Disney relationship, but it could happen.
More than that, I just don't think there's been enough symbiotes to justify him yet.
Yeah, well, hopefully if the Venom series takes off and it gets more critical acclaim than the first one did, which in my book wasn't a bad film.
It was enjoyable.
I hated it for the simple fact that it cast Tom Hardy. Not because I don't like Tom Hardy. I think he's one of the best actors of his generation. I didn't like it for the simple fact that it cast Tom Hardy, which took him out of the running to be the new Wolverine.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he's had a positive foray into comics before that, being Bane.
My theory for the next Avengers level villain is one that can happen. Is going to happen at some point. They've already confirmed that it is going to happen, but they haven't confirmed that he'll be an Avengers level threat yet. Is Doctor Doom? Doctor
Doom's one that they could really go for. I'll talk about that more when we get to our third topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Doctor Doom has definitely the potential for it. And he's done that happy mix between like anti-hero, well, not so much anti-hero, but just kind of neutral character through to villain. And that does have a lot of potential. And the fact that they are incorporating a lot of magic into the MCU between Doctor Strange, between the Scarlet Witch, they have a lot of potential to do that. And I think it could really work. I do like your idea with that. I'm just wondering if the Doctor Doom characters just, I don't know, that first Fantastic Four has hurt a lot of the characters.
He was also in the second Fantastic Four and in the Fantastic Four remake. My fear is that the character is burned out. Like, he is, I know that. But at the same time, he's one of the, if not the most iconic Marvel villain there is, outside of a few others. But my thing is, in Endgame, Captain America retired, and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier confirmed that he has passed away.
I haven't actually watched the series yet, so thanks for that.
Oh, that's a minor thing you have to read between the lines. It's not really a spoiler. I could give you some spoilers if you want.
No, you do that, and I will teach your children that Nickelback is the greatest band of all time.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
I also want to point out anything that we're saying, if it is a spoiler for you, I'm sorry. The stuff we're talking about is weeks to decades old. If you don't know it yet, that's your fault, not ours.
And furthermore, if I've just insulted anyone that's a Nickelback fan, you deserve it.
But yeah, my point is, at the end of Endgame, when Tony Stark died, when Captain America handed his shield over to Sam, there was no one left to lead the Avengers. And I was racking my brain trying to figure out who the fuck can lead the Avengers. And I thought to myself, Mr. Fantastic. He's got the money of Tony, he's got the brains of Tony, he's got the integrity of Captain America, and the only way to bring in the Fantastic Four.
If you've read enough of the comics, Mr. Fantastic is a really toxic character who I don't think, and he was never actually a good leader. But this is going comics like, and if what the rumors are saying are true, they're going to actually put Captain Marvel as the new leader.
Yeah, but no one wants that.
See, I like Captain Marvel as a character. I think she's a great character.
Oh, yeah, but as a character, perfect, but Brie Larson is shit.
I'm not saying one thing or another. I enjoyed the movie, and the thing is, the one thing that everyone needs to remember as well that you can never leave hanging is within Marvel, there's multiple universes. There's characters who've died who's magically come back to life. There's multiple dimensions, multiple realities. You've got characters who actively hop through those realities and change things, who have the ability to. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Captain America and Iron Man make appearances in the future, either as cameos or as something greater. But I think that'll be further down the line.
In a meta version of the world, Robert Downey Jr. has got, I think, one more movie, and I think that is Black Widow. I don't know. I think he makes a cameo in that. Mm-hmm. And Chris Evans has 3 more movies on his contract. So he's going to, at some point, make cameos.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's his name? Sebastian, the guy who plays Winter Soldier.
Stan Sebastian?
Yeah, that's it. He's got the largest contract out of them all. He had 16 movies when he signed up.
Yeah, great. That's
the first Captain America.
Really? No, I think there's still someone who has more in his contract, and that's Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury.
Oh, yeah, but like Nick Fury makes cameos in the movies.
Oh, I know. Though
the other guy actually has to do all the movies the whole way through. But that includes the TV series.
Yeah. That being said, Nick Fury was a major player in a lot, like, Avengers 1, Captain Marvel. Like, he had enough in there, but yeah, but like...
And Iron Man 2.
Yeah, Iron Man 2. I think that's it off the top of my head. Like, other than cameo appearances.
Yeah.
But yeah, where he's a major character who, pushes the plot forward rather than just like, look, it's him saying something. Considering Samuel Jackson, usually you'd expect it to be a motherfucker. But,
I love that, the end credit scene at the end of Infinity War. He goes, and then he disappears.
Yeah, it's a much more amusing way to get snapped out than Spider-Man's heartbreaking one.
Yeah, which I've heard so many people over the years say that that's not the way Spider-Man should have gone out. The crying in his arms and pleading to Mr. Stark that he's fine. And I'm like, but he's playing a 16-year-old boy. 16 years old, what are you going to do when you know you're about to die?
Yeah, you're not going to turn and go, fuck it, and pull out a bag of cocaine and snort that or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's 16 years old. Like,
I'm juvenile.
Well, you're not juvenile. That's the issue. But the thing is, like, and a big prop to that scene is that Tom Holland actually was just told, you have to act like you don't want to go. That's the only direction he was given. And then he did that and broke hearts everywhere.
Exactly. And to me, that's what Spider-Man would have done.
He goes to his hero who he believes can fix anything, and it also created motivation for Iron Man to do things. Iron Man then has a kid of his own, feels that love, and then understands it greater.
Yeah, exactly.
And doesn't want to lose that again. It's beautiful character development for both characters.
Exactly. And funnily enough, in the same movie, the Dave Bautista's Drax, in the scene where they meet the Guardians for the first time, and Star-Lord goes to Iron Man, where is Gamora? And Iron Man
I'll go you one further. Who is Gamora? I'll go you one further. Why is Gamora?
Dave Bautista thought of that on his feet.
Well,
and the Russo brothers decided to leave it.
It was an amazing thing, and it is just so Drax. It is so appropriate. Like, I will say, like, Dave Bautista as a wrestler was awesome. Dave Bautista as an actor was until he became Drax, and he does Drax perfectly. Thank you for changing my mind, Mr. Batista. I'm saying this with all respect. You have done that role justice. You have been amazing. I want a Drax spin-off movie. Pretty much before he met the Guardians and him just going through the galaxy trying to get his vengeance and just going almost
up to him going to prison and meeting the Guardians.
Exactly. Like him effectively going through the universe as like a combination John Wick with elements of Riddick from Chronicles of Riddick, just because he's shanking every motherfucker. And like just going full on, just trying to get to Thanos and just destroying all these generals, what created him, all that. I think it would be a fantastic movie. It gives the character of Drax the spotlight which he needs rather than just being a background character, not a background, a supporting character. And I would watch the living shit out of that, especially if they do cameos properly. Like even have a cameo where he goes to Earth and he's trying to chase down some of Thanos' generals and meets up with Deadpool and some of that back and forth.
Yeah.
Like the whole Drax like being literal, Deadpool being anything but literal and bizarre, and some of the back and forth and the confusing and the back and forth in like a fight between the two would be amazing.
That would be awesome. I would love that. And the whole thing narrated by either Morgan Freeman or J.R. Jim Ross. That would just top it off for me.
Well, yeah, having the Jim Ross element. What I think they'd be better doing is not having like it narrated, have that fight, but then have a special like thing on the DVD if anyone buys DVDs anymore. Of having like, instead of having like the like not just the director's commentary, have the wrestling commentary.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, what a forearm.
Yeah. It's like Deadpool has lost his head. By God, that man, didn't have a family, didn't have much, but had a very beautiful wife. Oh, wait, he's reattaching the head. It's okay. He's back in the game, folks. Like, it could be. There is so much potential of Drax just going full brutal, not giving two tosses.
Yeah.
And just the Deadpool shenanigans adding so much more humor to it.
And Deadpool being able to, like, calling Dave and Drax going, what are you talking about?
I am not Dave, I am Drax.
But once again, for the sake of moving things along,
we're wasting time.
Third and final topic of the Marvel segment. Who should play the next Fantastic Four and the next Wolverine? Okay. Which is the harder one of the two for me.
Me too. Like, I can't actually think of someone I want to play Wolverine as yet.
I thought of two, and one of which cannot happen.
Yeah, one of them was Tom Hardy, was it?
Yeah.
And who was the other one?
Travis Fimmel from Vikings, the Australian. Played Ragnar Lothbrok.
Oh, I really like that idea.
Because he's short, he's stocky, and he can be an angry motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm going to agree with you on that. I would love to see that. I think he could do it really well. I think he'd play it off really well. He just has to try and...
contacts on him.
Sorry?
You would have to put contacts in his eyes to cover up those blue eyes.
Absolutely. And he'd have to try and be a lot more angry and sulky.
Yeah, which you can do. He showed that in Vikings.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But to be honest, like his body... But with the guy who played, what's his brother's name?
Oh, Rollo.
Yeah, Rollo's like character almost outside of like the rapey issues. But with Ragnar's body sort of thing, that would be the perfect Wolverine. Because Rollo was a berserker, and that's a lot of Wolverine's character. But then you've got the thinking side, which Ragnar would go well. But anyway, I love that idea. I would go with that. I couldn't think of one personally because we were spoiled with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say, like, I agree with you 100% there. That has a lot of potential.
In my view, Hugh Jackman, as far as the films go, will always be Wolverine. It is his role, and you can't really replace him. But if you have to go closer to what the comic books call Wolverine.
Create a slightly different character, like one that's a bit more accurate to the comics and one that will still stand out. Like what we were saying before, like so many people said that Jack Nicholson will always be the Joker. And then along comes Heath Ledger and he created a very different Joker. Yeah. And then everyone said, Heath Ledger owns the Joker role now. And then you got Joaquin Phoenix, who's like, okay, maybe he owns it. And you got to make it your own and not make it just a copy.
Yeah.
And that is such a huge issue.
Is still trying to recreate his version of the Joker. He did say that Suicide Squad would have been much better if the director was allowed to keep the original vision and Warner Brothers didn't step in and change everything. And the Joker character would have been so much better.
That being said, just a quick add, another Joker character who has been amazing is the multiple Jokers in Gotham.
Although they weren't, was it Gotham, but they weren't actually called the Joker?
They weren't allowed to because of copyright reasons.
Yeah.
But it was like, wow. Like, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, there's a high chance it's actually a duck.
A swan?
That depends if they're babies, but that goes into fairy tale levels. But no, I love your thought for Wolverine. I think it's fantastic. I hadn't even thought of it, but I love it.
I put a lot of thought and energy into that. Obviously, in my book, Tom Hardy is Wolverine. Like, the way he is now, he's got that hunched over angry look. He can act very, very, very fucking intimidating. And he's got that the expertise to run a franchise like that. However, because of Venom, he's unavailable. And
I would prefer him to stay as Venom because he does the Eddie Brock character really well.
He does. Better than Topher Grace.
Ugh, poor Topher Grace. Topher Grace could act. That's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah, I liked him in that 70s show, and I liked him in a few other things he did. I really, really liked him in Predator.
And then what happened? A really, really bad movie where it's just like, boom. Yeah, and it just absolutely bombed. Yeah. But no, I love your ideas for Wolverine. That being said, just talking Tom Hardy, just to go on a tangent, I know it's such a surprise with us. Have you watched Bronson?
Which one's that?
It's Tom Hardy playing...
Oh, about the prisoner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that several times.
Oh, amazing movie. I was just wondering if you'd seen it.
I loved it. He should have been nominated across the board for that.
It was too small a movie to get that, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Like, if people look back and give it, like, as a, not a posthumous because he's not dead, but a retcon, I guess, it could get it. But yeah, it's never going to. But yeah, he was amazing in that. Anyway, Fantastic Four. So I've got a list here of the actors I'd like to see for it, but I want to give a bit of context for it. So what I'd love to see for the Fantastic Four is so they come into the MCU as kind of like age superheroes, almost like they've retired or they were heroes back in the day, kind of like the original Ant-Man and the Wasp, how they were shown as war heroes. I'd love to see them brought in as that, and that's what's influenced my casting. So as the Invisible Woman, I'd love to see Sigourney Weaver in it.
Oh.
Strong female character, strong female actress, well, rather than a male actress, I guess. Strong female actor. Mainly using the look she had in Galaxy Quest for it. Obviously not the boobs out, but like the hairstyle and stuff. I think that would be fantastic. The Thing, I've got to go back to Michael Chiklis.
Yeah.
And he was perfect role for it. Like, he played it in the original, well, not the original, but the more recent original Fantastic Four. And he was great. He was great. He was perfect for it.
Just so everybody knows, there was a really, really shit version of the Fantastic Four made in the early 90s. There was also a really shit version of Captain America made in the early 90s.
And Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure there was an Iron Man too.
I don't think Iron Man was done. There was the old Hulks and Thors around the era of Lou Ferrigno as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, if you want a good drinking game, watch those movies. Every time they say a piece of cheesy dialogue and you cringe, you have to take a drink.
You're gonna get fucked up.
Oh, the amount of drinking you do makes the movie much better. Okay, and here's the two really interesting ones. For Mr. Fantastic, as I said, going with the retired superhero or the aged superhero, Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, I can say that.
Because Mr. Fantastic is an arrogant motherfucker. Bruce Campbell plays the arrogant motherfucker really damn well. He's already got the hair that's right for it. He's got the chin. Like, the chin makes anything better. And, like, the way that he would, like, in the comics, that Mr. Fantastic would push his wife aside sort of thing. I think Bruce Campbell would be able to play that really well. And then
bring a little bit of Ash into the MCU.
Everything needs more Ash. And in fact, he's in Marvel Comics, I believe. I believe he makes an appearance in the Marvel Zombie universe.
And he also makes an appearance in the Sam Raimi Spider universe.
Oh yeah, as the wrestling commentator, and then he makes another appearance. Like, yeah, he's
as
in
the maitre d' of the restaurant in the second one as well.
Well, Sam Raimi, he has Bruce Campbell in so much of his stuff. It's like the whole like Adam Sandler, Rob Schneider sort of combo.
Or
like
Tim Burton, friggin' Johnny Depp.
And before it was Johnny Depp, it was
Michael Keaton.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so this is an interesting one for the Human Torch. So the Human Torch is an arrogant person to the degree that he's a bit high on himself. He's young. He's still an attractive character, even as an age sort of character. So here's an interesting one for my thought. I thought John Mayer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can say that. Yeah.
Whether or not he's got the acting chops to do it, but I think he could do it really well.
Yeah. Well, he's been in a few movies, but he's usually cameoing as himself. But yeah, actually, like the route you're going down, the older version of them, that fits to me.
And then that makes me think, okay, because of what you said before about making Doctor Doom the big bad guy, so an aged actor to play Doctor Doom could be really amusing as well. Like Doctor Doom, because he's got all the magic and stuff, he starts to bring himself back as a younger thing. Fantastic Four have to come in because, like, okay, guys, we've dealt with this before. Wait, we dealt with him in the past. He should be older now, creating greater story.
Yeah. Yeah, it works.
Just a thought,
My theory is I'll start off with the Human Torch, and a lot of people are going to cringe at this one, but Zac Efron, because he is a cocky motherfucker, he has the build for it, and he can act.
He can. Zac Efron. Sorry, I accidentally went to
Zach Braff.
Yeah, I went to Zach Braff, and it's like, what? He's cocky? No, we're not talking Scrubs. We're talking
High School
Musical, or what is it? Ted Bundy. Ted
Bundy, man. Yeah. To me, he's got the build. He's a cocky motherfucker. He's got the comedy chops, and he proved that in Neighbours with Seth Rogen. And he can act like a motherfucker, and he proved that in the Ted Bundy movie.
Yeah. If they're doing the younger sort of version, like not the version that I'm talking, that has quite a bit of potential, and I love it. Yeah,
and
I could see
also,
that.
he's young enough to carry the franchise.
Oh, well, it's like I don't know if you've actually seen this. So there used to be a Fantastic Four cartoon in the 90s, and they didn't have the Human Torch in it. They replaced him with a robot.
Yeah.
Do you know why they took the Human Torch out of it?
No.
The people who were writing it were afraid that kids had tried to both emulate and immolate because of it and set themselves on fire.
Oh, goddamn.
So both immolate and emulated. If anyone if you appreciate that language joke there, you're my kind of people. But I don't think you'd be listening to this podcast because you're too intelligent.
But the reason why the MCU is working so well is because people like you, people like me, people like my siblings, people like your siblings or sibling, people our age group, we watched all this in the 90s in the cartoon series.
The nostalgia pop.
We read all these in the 80s. And when they came out, we were all 18, 19, 20. So, like, we were like, oh, fuck yeah, I want to go see that.
Yeah, we're all excitable kids when we see something we like because, well, we have to look to the past because the future has no possibilities anymore.
But
there's no hope for the future, so let's look to the past at the things we liked then.
Yeah, exactly.
Except now I can combine them with tequila, which makes me so much happier.
But my theory behind what's his name? Mr. Fantastic. What's his name?
Reed Richards.
Reed Richards and Sue Storm is John Krasinski and his wife Emily Blunt.
Yeah, that's a definite.
Because the MCU have been begging for Emily Blunt to come in for years. She was the original pick for Captain Marvel, although I don't think she would have fit the role perfectly. But as Sue Storm, and the fact that she is in real life married to John, they would play off each other. Like, look at what's the movie called? Where they have to be quiet with the aliens so I eat them.
Don't Speak, is it?
Yeah, something like that.
Or
and there's a
I know the one you're
about
talking
to come out, but they played off each other so well in that movie. And for the thing, it can literally be anyone, because I'm so sick and tired, just like I was sick and tired of the Uncle Ben storyline always playing out until they finally went, you fucking know the Uncle Ben storyline, let's just move on from that and make Peter Parker Spider-Man already. My thing is, I'm so fucking sick and tired of the Fantastic Four origin story. So you can literally bring anyone in as a thing, as long as they've got a decent voice, because it's going to be CGI anyway. And if they go practical with him, they're doing the wrong idea.
See, I love practical effects. I'd love to see practical with an element of CGI to just bump it up so that he's still actually acting there with the people, because that creates so much more of a thing.
Yeah.
Like, like for example, using the Hulk. So what's his name? Mark Ruffalo. A lot of the time was still on set with the suit on.
Yeah.
And that meant that people could interact with him better. Whereas you see where they do the CGI where they've got like the ball on a stick sort of thing, like the dino ball in Jurassic Park 3, and it looks so much more fake. Anyway, once again, digressing. So you said the thing, you don't mind who, as long as they've got a good voice.
Yeah.
But see, that's why I also like Chiklis. Like, he has a really good voice for it too. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, even Chiklis coming in to do the voice for the thing would be an excellent throwback as well. But for Doctor Doom, I know he's supposed to be roughly the same age, but I'm thinking about something out of the box here, because I think he can do a really good job of it. Is a man that apparently signed an MCU contract a long time ago and was the original idea to be Star-Lord's father in Volume 2 until they got Kurt Russell, is Al Pacino. Dark hair, you can put the grey back into it and he can go off his fucking nutter as Doctor Doom.
Yes and no. Like, I think Al Pacino years ago would have been good. Al Pacino now? I don't think so. Like that, but yeah, like, I see where you're coming from and I can see the potential there. Just, I don't know. I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, it was a bit of an out there throwaway, but
no, I think
I haven't put much theory into the Doctor Doom character. It was just more focusing on the actual four, the Fantastic Four. But like, it can literally be any actor that fits his, as long as it's not that dude from the originals.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, like, he was an okay actor. I'm just really sick of his shit.
No, I get you. And like, that's the thing, when someone's already played a sort of thing and could be a good actor, but you're just sick of them.
Yeah.
No, I just had a thought, but it was a bad thought, so ignore. So anyway,
there are no such thing as bad thoughts, just bad people.
I love a lot of your views for the Fantastic Four and Wolverine. Your Wolverine view, love it. I think it's a great idea. If anyone's listening, Tom expects at least some sort of royalty for the idea. If you're not listening and you still do it, we know you were actually listening. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney has actually like tapped all the phones in the world, considering they're owning most of the movie sort of thing now. I'm waiting for them to own the news, and they own a lot of the news channels in the States. So,
the ABC is theirs.
The ABC US or ABC Australia?
ABC US.
I just wish they'd hurry up and get Mickey Mouse out of politics in Australia.
See, you could be talking about so many people there.
I know. That's how I can get away with making a disparaging remark. Keep it vague and let the audience decide.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so here's the thing. This episode went way longer than JR were expecting, so I've had to split it down into multiple parts. This is just part 1. Part 2 is coming up next week. And there may even be a part 3. That's how long this episode ran. Now, next week we are going to be talking definitely about film, about our favorite movies, about whether 1994 was the greatest year in cinema history or not. And we get into a very large conversation that you're not going to want to miss. So, for Jay Later, I've been Tom Roberts. This is the Before It Was Cool podcast. Go to Twitter, check me out. I'm Tom_Dom89, TOM_DOM89. Or before IWC@gmail.com if you want to email the show and you want to inquire about being a co-host for an episode, or go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Before It Was Cool podcast, all one word. Inbox us with any of your concerns or comments on the show, or whether you want to be the next guest co-host on the show, because I'm willing to have literally anyone on. So this has been the Before It Was Cool podcast. Thank you all for listening, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on TuneIn, whether you're on Google, Apple, or Podbean. It's available on all those platforms and more. And pretty soon, hopefully, YouTube as well. So, once again, goodbye.